Hey everyone, thank you for letting me interrupt the episode. I want to share with you something that myself, Ben, and Tambini have put together. It's our family reconnect group. Now, we're going to be kicking this off June 3rd. Now, what do you get with this? You get weekly Zoom calls with myself, Ben, Tambini. We're going to have experts in the field. We're going to have licensed clinicians. We're going to have people in recovery. We're going to have family members, loved ones that have gone through the treatment process with their loved ones and have come out the other side in a positive manner. We're going to have monthly newsletters. We're going to have a 12-week curriculum that you get, and also you get 2 bonus guides as well. Now, the Family Reconnect is going to be starting on June 3rd. Now, we just made it live, so you can go to realrecoverytalk.com/FRC. Again, it's realrecoverytalk.com/FRC to sign up. Now, it's a membership based. There's going to be a basic membership that you can buy, and then there's going to be a VIP membership that is also available to you as well. What do you get with the VIP? On the weeks that it's myself, Ben, and Tambini, we're going to log on an hour before everybody else, so you have a more personalized experience with us, and we're going to be doing that bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks throughout the month, myself, Ben, and Tambini, we're going to log on 1 hour before everybody else to give you a more personalized experience. You could talk with us about your experiences, what you're going through, what your struggles are, how we could support you. This is going to be a great community for family members, for loved ones. If you just want overall support, whether it's for yourself or a loved one, the Family Reconnect is something that we definitely want you to get involved in. There's also going to be a Facebook community. This is going to be completely private to the people that are inside of our community, and we can't wait to kick this off. This is something that we've wanted to do for a long time, and we feel like we're in a position to be able to offer this to you. So again, it's at realrecoverytalk.com/FRC. Go there, sign up. June 3rd, we're kicking off, and we're excited to see you there. Hey everybody, in today's episode, it's myself, Benjamin B., and Mark. July of 2023, myself and Ben, we flew out to California to record with Mindpump. We offered a scholarship, and Mark is the recipient of that scholarship. Mark is coming up on 8 months of sobriety, so we wanted to bring him on the show to talk about really his transformation, how he even found us, by way of listening to Mind Pump and just stumbling across the episode that Ben and I did, and ultimately being here and never experiencing treatment before, really coming down blind, not having a clue what he was getting himself into. Fast forward almost 8 months sober, he's here and he's not going anywhere. His life is completely different. So if you're a listener and you're struggling with the idea of getting sober or taking that, what you would think is a risk, this is going to be a story that you definitely want to listen to. So I know you're going to love this. Enjoy the show. Here we are, Real Recovery Talk. I am your host, Tom Conrad. In today's episode, we've got Benjamin B.
What's happening, everyone?
And we also have Mark. Mark, how are you, sir?
Doing very well. How are you?
Good. First things first, thank you for tuning in on the podcast app, whichever one that you choose to use, and thank you for watching on YouTube. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you could always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, that's info@realrecoverytalk.com, and ultimately, we want to help you turn your mess into your message. Right, peeps?
Yes, sir.
What's up, Mark?
Not a lot.
Don't be nervous. It's okay. Pull that mic a little closer to you.
Can do.
There you go.
Hey, brother.
Yeah. What's going on, Ben?
Not much, dude. Just finished running group.
What'd you do?
We were down on the beach. We were going to try and snorkel, but then out of nowhere, I wasn't paying attention to the forecast. Like a 6-foot swell came through. Get there. The waves were big this morning.
You didn't have your surfboard?
I did, but it was one of those situations where I was spending time with the clients and...
You didn't want to show off?
Yeah. You know.
Can you surf as well as you used to be able to with all those muscles?
I cannot at all. You know what's funny? My mom called me out the other day. I didn't tell you. I ran surf group last Thursday, it was. And there was waves, so I paddled out. My mom just so happened to be down on the beach. And she saw me out in the water because
She was checking you out. She's
saw
like,
my-
who's that guy? Oh, that's my son. Gosh, that's weird.
Jeez. Yeah,
Totally
that's
weird. Mom.
Stop, dude. But I get out of the water and she's like, Ben, you just don't look right out there anymore. You look like a meatball on a surfboard. I'm like, she noticed, dude. I can't surf as good as I used to.
Yeah.
I don't have, I'm huffing and puffing. It's a different kind of cardio.
Well, once you're done doing this crap, maybe you'll get good at it again.
Yeah, I'll have to lose some muscle. Problem is you get it sucks all the oxygen out of your body.
Yeah.
I get a pump surfing, then all of a sudden I got a pump and I'm like, ugh.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Maybe I should try surfing. What's up, Mark?
Oh, not a whole lot.
You doing all right?
Yeah.
So let me just do a little bit of a brief introduction here. Mark is somebody that came through our program, and back in July of 2024, Ben and I took a flight out to San Jose and recorded with Mindpump. As you know, we are very good friends with Mindpump at this point, and as a result of going out there to record with them, we something that we wanted to offer their audience was a full scholarship. And Mark is the recipient of that scholarship. And Mark is, I'll let you tell your story, but basically, Mark has done absolutely everything that has been expected of him to do. He took advantage of the treatment process. He took advantage of the opportunity that was given to him. And here we are today. And I know that you're going to enjoy this because it's a true testament of what can happen for somebody at any given time in their life as long as they want it bad enough. And so here we are. Ben, do you have anything before we roll?
I don't. I think just hearing from Mark at this point.
Yeah.
I know you got your questions and whatnot.
Yeah. So Mark, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, the first time alcohol was introduced to you. It's all organic, man. You don't got to worry about nothing. I'll steer the conversation. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So I grew up in Western New York, south of Buffalo. It is kind of the northern tip of the Appalachian Mountains. It's a very, very rural area. I think my graduating class was 86 students. It's really out in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't bad. It's a safe area. It was nice. There was a lot of freedom because of that, which eventually probably hindered me some. But I grew up with a long leash in a safe area. I don't have really a big tragic backstory. It was humbling coming here because I heard what some other people have been through. But I grew up there. My parents, they weren't together, but I was really young when they divorced. I didn't have the best stepdad growing up, but again, it wasn't anything huge and tragic for me. I think I started drinking at about 15 was the first time, and that's just kind of normal for the area. It's one of those, there is nothing to do. People go out into the woods, make a fire, and drink. It was just normal. So I did that, kept that through high school. I started with marijuana about the same time. I would smoke. Wasn't anything crazy. It was kind of just par for the area and where I grew up.
Hey everyone, thank you for letting me interrupt the episode. I want to share with you something that myself, Ben, and Tambini have put together. It's our family reconnect group. Now we're going to be kicking this off June 3rd. Now, what do you get with this? You get weekly Zoom calls with myself, Ben, Tambini. We're going to have experts in the field. We're going to have licensed clinicians. We're going to have people in recovery. We're going to have family members, loved ones that have gone through the treatment process with their loved ones and have come out the other side in a positive manner. We're going to have monthly newsletters. We're going to have a 12-week curriculum that you get. And also you get 2 bonus guides as well. Now, the Family Reconnect is going to be starting on June 3rd. Now, we just made it live, so you can go to realrecoverytalk.com/FRC. Again, it's realrecoverytalk.com/FRC to sign up. Now, it's a membership based. There's going to be a basic membership that you can buy, and then there's going to be a VIP membership that is also available to you as well. What do you get with the VIP? On the weeks that it's myself, Ben, and Tambini, we're going to log on an hour before everybody else, so you have a more personalized experience with us. And we're going to be doing that bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks throughout the month, myself, Ben, and Tambini, we're going to log on 1 hour before everybody else to give you a more personalized experience. You could talk with us about your experiences, what you're going through, what your struggles are, how we could support you. This is going to be a great community for family members, for loved ones. If you just want overall support, whether it's for yourself or a loved one, the Family Reconnect is something that we definitely want you to get involved in. There's also going to be a Facebook community. This is going to be completely private to the people that are inside of our community, and we can't wait to kick this off. This is something that we've wanted to do for a long time, and we feel like we're in a position to be able to offer this to you. So again, it's at realrecoverytalk.com/FRC. Go there, sign up. June 3rd, we're kicking off, and we're excited to see you there.
And it just kind of stayed like that for a long time. I probably enjoyed it more than a lot of other people did, but it wasn't really affecting a lot in my life in any way. I was still an A student. I still did well in everything that I was trying to do. And I just settled into a routine with it. That was mostly that. Then fast forward, 15 years later, finally, that's when things kind of took a turn. I had kind of one big pivotal moment in life, and it went wild from there.
So over the course of that 15 years, and I don't want to glance over this, you're a veteran. You joined the military?
Yes.
At what age?
I was older when I joined. I was 27.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when I was at basic training, I was easily the oldest person there.
Okay. What made you join the military at 27?
So I actually wanted to for a long time. I originally joined the Marine Corps at 20, and I was removed from from boot camp after like 2 weeks. I think I have a genetic nerve problem. I have a tremor in my hands. And they noticed it. They labeled it a panic disorder, and they removed me from training.
Bummer.
And they sent me home. And I actually thought that disqualified me from military service as a whole. I didn't think I could go anywhere, so I just didn't look at it again. And in 2016, I found myself back in my hometown after moving. I had moved all over the country, and I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. But I was back in my hometown. I hated my job. I didn't like what I was doing. And I ran into an Army recruiter, and I told him, well, yeah, I've tried, but I got kicked out, and I can't go now. And he told me, guy, we got waivers. He's like, we'll waiver you in, not a problem at all. So I went. I didn't have anything else going on in life. I wasn't happy with my situation or where I was at. And a month later, I shipped out for basic training.
What kind of work were you doing before going in?
I was managing an Advanced Auto Parts.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Makes sense.
I'm not a fan of retail in general, so it was pretty bad for me.
No offense to any retail workers.
No,
but,
not at all.
I mean, you wanted to join the military. You weren't happy with where you were at in life, and you just ran into that recruiter somewhere, or what?
At a bar, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. We were just sitting there. He was a couple seats down from me, and we weren't talking at first, but conversation started up. And I was complaining about work, and he's that's his job, is recruiting people. So as soon as I started complaining about work, he was like, have you ever thought about the military? And so
what a better place to recruit our nation's security than through the Piggly. No, not the Piggly. What's the bar out here? That's on. Never mind. Anyways, I was trying to
way
make
out
a joke.
west. I don't know.
So you go into basic training at 27. Was alcohol an issue at that point, do you think?
I don't think it was an issue. It was there was a lot of it. Like I said, I think I probably enjoyed it more than most, but it hadn't really affected anything in my life at that point. It was just there. I mean, I'm sure that if I really took an inventory of how my life could have been different if I wasn't doing that, I'm sure there was a lot of residual effects of it, just wasted time, wasted money, things that I could have accomplished that I didn't. But there weren't any just like acute events that caused any issues.
Now, over how long were you in the military?
Just under 5 years.
Okay, and what did you do?
I did avionics, so like all the electrical systems and the weapons systems for the Apache helicopter. I was a maintenance person. I did mostly electrical work. It was fun. It was a very cool job.
Do you have any opinions or insights on how that Apache helicopter ran into a passenger airplane a few months back?
No, I don't. Seems I don't understand how accidents like that happen. But
operator error somewhere.
Oh, it has to be.
Yeah, because those are very technologically advanced.
Oh, they're very cool. Personally, I would never fly one. Very cool though.
Yeah.
Why'd you say it like that? You'd never fly.
It's like a mechanic who won't buy a certain brand of car. It's kind of like that. Like I worked on them enough, and I'm like,
do you know how to fly a helicopter?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably a better reason not to fly one. Yeah, let me give this a shot. It's not like you take it for a test drive after you change the oil.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you got out of the military at what age would you have been? 31?
Yeah.
31 years old?
Yeah.
Were you drinking throughout the military?
Yeah. That definitely, honestly, I don't think set me up very well for post-military life because the drinking is deeply ingrained in military culture. It is part of it. It is the bonding that you do on the weekends. It is what a lot of people do immediately after work, and especially for people living in like a barracks building, all they have is each other. They don't go home to a family. They don't do it. So it's very much part of the culture.
Were you deployed at all?
No, I never got to actually. I was overall very disappointed with my time in the Army. I was originally supposed to go to Germany, and a week before I was supposed to go, my orders got changed. And I went to Fort Lewis in Washington, which was kind of cool because I actually lived right outside of Fort Lewis for a couple of years. So I was able to reconnect with some people. But then I was supposed to go on this little, I think it was like a 9-month rotation in South Korea. And that changed a couple of months before I was supposed to go. So I didn't get to go do that. It was, I missed out on a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. Oh, well. All right. So take us when things really got ugly for you.
So, like I said, there was one specific event that happened. I was arrested. It had a pretty big effect on me because, not even because of the arrest, it was because of the way that it affected personal relationships was the majority of it. I was accused of some fairly heinous stuff, and I didn't do what they said I did. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a perfect person and that I didn't play a part in anything, but I didn't do that, and I lost a lot of people through that. People who don't know any better, people who don't want to even risk being associated with me after that. I found myself very quickly after the Army. I found myself very alone very quickly. I didn't really have much of a support network. I mean, God knows my family tried, but I wasn't really in a place where I wasn't okay. I wouldn't listen. I wouldn't entertain. I was just mad, and that was it. So, so I got out, and think that's where things really just started to go downhill. After that, the drinking went from something that I did socially and something that I would go that it was fun, and that's what I was trying to do. Just have fun with it, and it turned into it turned into I would go out and I'd stay out all night until the bars shut down, and I would take the back roads back to my house. And I mean, I'd hit 130 drunk driving home, because I just kind of wanted to tempt fate in a way. I felt like I had already lost everything that was important to me, and I just wanted to gamble it and see what would happen. And I had somehow, nothing ever happened. Thank God nothing ever happened. Not just for me. I thank God I didn't hurt anybody doing that. But I lived like that for 2 years. I would regularly do stupid stuff like that. And somehow I'm still here. I'm very grateful for it. But for all intents and purposes, there's no reason that I should be here right now, but
Yeah,
here I am.
You got anything up to this point?
No, I'm just taking it all in. Yeah, I mean, did you end up having to do any jail time at all?
I spent 5 months in jail. Okay. Yeah, and I wasn't sentenced to it. It was kind of while things were being sifted through and things were being figured out. Realistically, I wasn't held because of the nature of the crime. I was held because I was considered an extreme flight risk. I was in the Army before, and I lived all over the country before the Army. I could easily pick up and go wherever I wanted, and I would know people. So they didn't even want to play with that. So I had to wait until everything was sorted out. And in the end, everything was wiped clean. Everything's taken care of. Right as of right now, the arrest record is sealed. I'm in the process of getting it expunged. Everything ended okay, but it's taken me a while to get there.
Yeah.
Take us to the to when you're listening to that Mindpump episode.
So
if you even remember.
I very much remember. So I because of the arrest, because of everything that happened, I couldn't get work in my field, doing aviation electronics. I just couldn't because that hadn't been taken care of yet. And I found myself working a terrible job at a terrible restaurant. And I hated every second of it. It was god awful. But I would sit back there in the kitchen and I'd have a headphone in and I would just listen to shows. Mindpump being one of them, because I think I started listening to Mindpump in 2017. I want to say, but yeah, I was in the kitchen working and letting it roll, and I got to your guys' episode. And
the one that Ben and I was on?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was in the kitchen the first time I heard it. I got about halfway through it, and I actually stopped listening to it. I was like, I'm going to listen to this later. I'm going to play it back to the beginning, and I want to be able to focus on it when I'm listening to it. So I finished out my shift, went out to the bar down the way, because that's what we always did after work, drove myself home, and then I sat and I was probably playing Xbox or something, but I had the episode going in the background, and I ended up stopping. I was playing a game. I ended up stopping and just listening to the episode, and it was I was very drunk at this point, and
this is awesome.
I sent you that email. That night, I believe it was. I didn't even, and at no point in time, I don't really remember the email too well. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, if you remember, but I believe I didn't even ask for the scholarship here. I think I had said, is there any resources? Is there any help that you can give me? I can't leave where I'm at. I can't come to Florida, but I think that's all I had said. I didn't ask for the scholarship, if I'm remembering right. But I actually haven't gone back and read it. I'm not gonna lie, I've been a little bit afraid to go back and read the email. But
did you have any experience with trying to get sober before, or
none.
crossed your mind, or
not at all? Before, I call it the before everything had happened, it was never a thing. I never even considered it because it wasn't majorly affecting my life in any way. I was generally okay. Were there some missed opportunities? Probably. But it wasn't anything terrible. So no, I hadn't even considered it.
So it sounds like Tom and I talk in recovery was maybe the first time you've ever heard anything like that.
It absolutely was. I had never considered. I definitely did not consider going to anything like rock. That had never even crossed my mind. And I actually specifically remember there was, I think I've told you before, Ben, but there was, while I was sitting there listening to it, because you guys told your stories on that episode. And there was a moment where I had gotten to a point where I was like, even if I want to turn things around and even if I want to do better, I've buried myself so much farther than I was. I was like, I can't come back from this anymore. Like this, I'm too far. And I was listening to you guys and I was like, these guys' lives were way more screwed up than mine. Like I might be able to do this. So, but yeah, that was the very first, any contact, any exposure I've had to anything to do with, and any of it at all.
Dude, there's a lot there. There's a saying, we're uniquely qualified to help others like us.
Yeah.
And being that we're like your first exposure and you're hammered drunk, dude, I'm just trying to picture this in my mind. That's freaking awesome.
Well, I can tell you because I talked to him.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So you had said too that, the fact that you hear, because I went off that too. Like when I started, I always thought I was unique and like my situation's so bad, no one will understand. But then you end up hearing somebody's story that's worse than yours.
Yeah.
Eventually, you always do. There's always somebody worse, or in your mind and perspective, at least it sounds worse.
Yeah.
Right? But you had also said that you didn't think that you could leave and go to treatment?
Yeah.
What was that about?
Yeah, apparently I, out of nowhere, started really valuing my job in that kitchen for some reason. I don't know. But no, I mean, I was worried about like, financially, I was worried.
Yeah.
Like things had been really tight since the Army. I was worried about picking up and coming down here and not working for a period. I am very blessed to have people who took value in seeing me come out of this okay, and they made it possible for me to be down here.
Who are those people?
The big one was my mom, actually. I caused problems there, especially after the Army, after jail, because I was just angry about everything.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't tell me anything that I would make anything negative. So that relationship suffered a lot. But when she found out I had the opportunity to come down here, she helped me out financially to help just with bills. Like I'm in my 30s. I have a car payment. I have these things that need to be taken care of. So she took on the majority of that actually for a little bit until I started working. And I have some other friends they're wonderful, wonderful people. They've been great. I've actually lived with them for a little bit when I first got out of the Army because my housing fell through, and they did a lot to make sure that I got down here, and they're a huge support. So it was, definitely wouldn't have made it if it wasn't for some of those other people. But
What's interesting is like this is a big part of the recovery process. When you're drinking and doing what you were doing, people aren't really going to put their hand out to try and help in that manner, so to speak, at least if they're not enablers,
no.
which we talk about all the time on the show. But this sounds to me like one of those appropriate times, like you showed action and willingness, and then people step in and help because you're on the path to doing the right thing. Like people are willing to help people that are willing to help themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a difference between that and enabling, which I won't go crazy into that right now. But at the end of the day, like we see somebody start doing the right thing, people are more willing to help because they know they're on that trajectory.
Yeah, and I definitely saw that. And
so I want to speak a little bit into our very first conversations and kind of shed some light on where you were at that time from at least my perspective. I remember the first conversation we had. I was actually in my car and I was driving to pick my kids up from gymnastics, and I had Mark on the phone and just kind of talking. I don't know if you remember this or not. You were pretty drunk.
yeah, I was.
And Mark was like, "What are you getting out of this?"
That was one of the very first things I
Ooh.
ever said to you is, what do you get out of this? Yeah, I remember that.
And I remember listening to that and like thinking to it was a feel good moment for me because I knew I'm not getting anything out of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like to be able to say that felt good. Like, because we are a business, right? Generally, if somebody comes here to receive treatment services, we are receiving compensation. And I remember telling Mark, I have no reason to bring you here outside of, and I remember, I think I was talking to you, Ben, and I talked to a couple other people. I said, this has to be the scholarship.
Yeah.
Because he's a veteran. He's out of the military. He's working at a restaurant making, I think you said you were making $14 an hour.
I think it was like 16. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. And I could just hear it in your voice. And it was like from that conversation and you saying what you said, what are you getting out of this? It was almost like I need to prove it to this guy that we ain't getting shit. The only thing, and I remember telling, the only thing we're getting out of this is the satisfaction of knowing that we're going to help you get sober. And that wasn't the first conversation that we had. I think you wanted to like stew on things.
Yeah.
And I think a couple of days had gone by, and I left it as, do what you got to do. Stew on it, think about it. You just let us know. And I can't remember for certain, but I do think I probably left that conversation thinking I won't hear from him. And I want to say you ended up texting and saying, I want to take this opportunity, but you had some like logistical things to line up.
Yeah, I did. I actually didn't fully understand what the situation was here. So I arranged for somebody to, store my car for me, and I didn't realize I could just bring it down.
Right.
That would have made life so much easier. But yeah, there was some I had to store my stuff. And honestly, I was dragging my feet. if I'm being entirely honest with you, because in the back of my mind, I still did not truly believe that you weren't getting anything out of this. I was like, somewhere. Like something's gonna happen somewhere. So I was dragging my feet. But no, thankfully I made it down though.
And I remember it was after you got down, you must have been down a couple of days or something, and Ben and I went over to the detox center to meet you. And I remember going back to what you were talking about with the nerve thing with the shaking.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing you in the shakes, which you shake now. And I mean, how long you been sober?
7.5 months.
Yeah. So I'm like, holy cow, this dude is withdrawing hard, and only to find out. I mean, you obviously were withdrawing, but it was just a cool thing to experience. Being able to go there, see you, and we took that video and sent it off to the guys over at Mindpump, and they've been a part of this journey the whole entire time. Let me ask you this. Did you ever think by way of listening to Mindpump that it would have ever resulted in you getting sober?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I have no reason to that. It's wild that listening to Mindpump has become like it created a pivotal turning point in my life. The fact that I was just listening to this show consistently, it's still like weird to think about a lot of the time. It doesn't process right, but it's great. I couldn't be happier. I am so glad, because I actually stopped listening to him for a while, because afterwards I was just drinking all the time. I wasn't going to the gym. I wasn't taking care of myself. And honestly, listening to a show about health and fitness made me feel like crap. So I wasn't listening to him often anymore. And that day I just happened to say, let's check in with that. And I haven't listened to them for a while. Let's do that. And that decision right there has changed everything for me. I'm still not working in my field, and I couldn't be happier. I love my job. I love what I'm doing. I'm enjoying my day to day. Like, there's still bad days. Obviously, it's never going to go anywhere, but nothing seems as severe anymore. Nothing is earth shattering anymore. And I've had a couple of, not tragedies, but I've had a couple of really bad events since I've been here, and everything is more manageable. I've gone into everything knowing like we will get through this. It will be okay. We'll get there. And yeah, listening to that one episode started a chain of events that led me to where I am now. If you told me 8 months ago that this is where I'd be and this is how I'd feel, I'd tell you you're nuts. I'm in better shape than I've been in since early in the Army. I tried to take as much advantage as I could of the gym that we have, and doing the workouts with Ben after groups or towards the end of groups. I really went hard into the paint on all that, and I was so glad that I was able to do all that, because I came from a situation where I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't even overweight anymore. I was overweight for a little bit, and then I started losing weight again. Like, I was just unhealthy. I was barely eating. In the time that I worked, it was like 9 months that I worked in that kitchen. I went from eating every single day that I was in there to I would eat every couple of days because I couldn't, because it hurt. Food hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't eat anything. And I never, ever would have guessed that this is where I would and could be after 7.5 months. This is absolutely insane to me. There is so much to take advantage of here if you do it. I've seen people that have come through and just not done it, and I feel bad for them, because there's so much here to take advantage of if people are willing to do it. Like, put in a little bit of extra effort, especially early on. You don't have anything else to do. Go to the gym, But this has been phenomenal the whole time.
I like how you explain that. This is kind of a side note, but what you just said, food hurts.
Yeah.
That's like totally an alcoholic thing. And I've never heard, I don't know, that made sense to me. I just remember like when I was in my drinking days. Yeah, dude, that I can relate to that. Like, it was painful to eat.
Yeah.
And I was severely underweight from drinking. That, I don't know, that just resonated with me, so I had to mention it. What's interesting though is you briefly touched on like your, I don't know, I guess in your own mind, your rebuttals to being able to come down here and do this. And I just kind of want to point out, because we face this all the time, you know, when we're trying to help people get into treatment, where what seems important to them, it's legitimately important to you at the time. Like, you're like, oh, I got to handle this and handle that. But like 2020 hindsight, now that you're here, what I'm hearing is none of it was really that important. Like the stuff that was, you know, you're rebutting in your head to like not come get help. None of it really mattered that much anyway, did it?
No, not at all. No, there were, if I understood the value that I was going to have in coming down here, I would have found 10 different ways to make it happen faster. Probably. I don't even remember what a lot of the things were that I was worried about at the time. It's clearly they weren't that important.
Well, it's always jobs and bills.
You know what? That just opened my eyes, though, that statement, what you just said about if you knew the value of what it would be. We got to keep that in mind, that we know the value because we're here. We've experienced it. We know what goes on. We know what it's like. We know what this process is. I think sometimes I forget that, and I'm like, dude, don't you just see? And I like want to shake somebody. But someone like you had never been exposed to any of this before. Like, we're dealing with someone that has no idea what it's like to see a therapist. Someone who has no idea what it's like to be amongst other people with a common problem that are working towards a solution. 12 steps. I'm assuming you probably went to your first meeting while you were here.
Oh, yeah, it was after. Yeah, you
never experienced that before. So it was like a lot of firsts.
Yeah.
And I think I tend to forget that, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I just, like, why don't you get it? Don't you know how valuable this is? But
well, and I remember when talking to you on the phone, I do remember saying, Mark, this is something that you have to just trust. And I said, I know we don't know each other, but you just got to trust that we got your best interest, you know? And luckily you did. But you're right. I mean, a lot of times we just assume that it's bad enough for people that they're just desperate to do whatever they have to do, when in fact that's not always the case. But
go.
I was just, well, and let's be entirely honest about it for a second. A lot of even what I was doing and saying, like, it was a lot of excuses too.
Right.
I had a lot of my own hesitation and a lot of my own just my own stuff in my own head that was making me not want to do it. And it's stuff that I've heard other people say here too. I mean, I was worried about who am I going to be after this? Like, what am I going to be fundamentally different? Am I going to be somebody else? Am I all these things? And I'm not the only one that is. I've heard a lot of people say that through this process, but
a lot of it's true though.
A lot of it is. Me personally, I can say I'm not anybody different. I am so much more of me that it's not funny. Everything that I knew that I was, that kind of was on the back burner, a lot of self-confidence issues, a lot of self-esteem issues, a lot of things like that I knew it was there because it had been there for years, but it just seemed like it was gone. It's all here again.
I think a big part of that, like you mentioned, the self-esteem issues and stuff like that, to get help from somebody on that stuff and all that internal stuff means that you need to admit it out loud to somebody. And there's a lot of fear in that. I can speak to that for myself. Like, for my therapist to be able to help me with something means I have to tell her about it first. And I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, I got to admit this.
Oh yeah,
to somebody. Like, hell no.
That was a huge part, and I was, I really thought that I had it bad. I was a piss pot when I first got down here. It is what it is. It's fine. But I came in and I was like, I'm just gonna throw all this crap at her, and like she's going to hear about how unfairly the world has treated me, and she's not going to have anything to say about it because it's just none of it's fair, and I'm like, poor me. And I remember the first time I sat down with Heather, there were a couple of moments where she just like kind of okay, and we kept going, but we got through it. She was phenomenal, and I've heard people say the same thing for all the therapists here. They all are great. They're half of it. A big part of it for me was just saying it out loud, getting things out there, having somebody else listen to these things that I was angry at the world about. That by itself was a huge thing for me. But yeah.
Huh.
A good therapist will allow their client to have their own aha moment. Therapists, counselors, we're not there to give you the answers. We're there to facilitate it in a way where we get your mind going, and then you come to your own conclusions. Because if I sit here and give you answers, you're going to be like, it doesn't make sense. But if you figure it out on your own, that's like the secret to being a good therapist. Don't give the answers. Let them come up with it on their own. Nudge them in a direction and backdoor it. But
Yeah.
because a client having their own aha moment is just giving them the answers and, hey, do this, do that. Like it's not the same,
So a couple more things before we wrap this up. You come down, this is your first time in treatment. You've never done treatment before.
Correct.
Talk to us a little bit about the community aspect of it, just your overall treatment experience, your peers, and like how that impacted you, being in an environment of other sober people, and like how that helped you or, hindered you in any way.
So it was nice. I don't think I could have done what I did here on my own out in the world. Being surrounded by people who all have the same goal individually for themselves it was great, because every single person in the rooms could relate to anything that you had going on. And there were some people who have been to other centers in the area, and I didn't realize that I was getting so spoiled my first time. But everybody, there was a certain level of respect among peers, and just nobody wanted to ruin the chance that they had, because everyone knew what they had here. I've heard horror stories about some other places, and you guys spoke about some of the other places on Mindpump. Again, that was my first introduction to all that. I had no idea that they got so bad, but everybody seemed to know what they had here and appreciate it and act accordingly. And it was nice. There were a couple of times a week, there were meetings that were just with the people from the house. So that was nice. There's really an opportunity to bond with people while you're here. Well, I didn't have to do this by myself.
Yeah.
I was going to ask something kind of related too. Being that you had no experience of going to treatment before, did you have any sort of thoughts of what it might be like versus what it ended up being?
Yeah, absolutely. I expected it to be much more like clinical, I guess would be the word. Like almost like the doctor with the clipboard type stuff. But I did not expect to have staff that were so approachable. I didn't expect to really even form friendships with people. There's a couple of people now who I was in treatment with, who I'm sure I'm probably going to talk to these people for the rest of my life. They're going to be part of it to some degree for a long time, I can tell you. But no, it was definitely much more I guess relaxed is the best word I can come up with right now. It was much more relaxed than I expected it to be. It wasn't a situation where we're right, you're wrong, take these meds, do what you're supposed to do. Like it really was a situation where there was always someone to talk to. There's no reason to go through your problems by yourself. I expected to spend a lot of time by myself. I expected to spend a lot of time in my own head, which is how I got here in the first place. So I was a little bit worried about that, but I didn't expect it to be so close knit, I guess. I mean, I was here for Christmas. Like you were there. You came over for Christmas. So I mean, we did presents and food. Like I never would have thought that was how this worked, but I was just very pleasantly surprised with it.
Christmas was fun.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Speaking, you said something that I'm not going to challenge, but just dig into a little bit. You said, I didn't expect it to be so clinical. A lot of times people listen to, and you hear that word clinical, and you're exactly right. Doctor with a clipboard, right? People in their, dressed, white coat and like suits and tie or whatever, like kind of stuffy.
Yeah. When
everything that we do has a clinical component, we just have to broaden what our definition of clinical is. 2 days a week, we're out doing something. I mean, we would go play basketball, go surfing, or whatever it is, 2 days a week. And there's a clinical component to that, right? But to the person that is experiencing this, they have this idea of what clinical is. And Ben and I and Stevie Buckets does those groups, and it lowers the barriers, right?
Yeah.
When we're out doing something that's not inside four walls, there's a clinical component to it. It's just not directly, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah, because I was thinking along the same lines where, and I'll be straight up, if there's any like PhDs listening to this right now, they're going to disagree with what I say and be like, oh, that guy needs to work on his boundaries. At the end of the day, for instance, like we have our credentials, both Tom and I were addictions counselors, our therapists are master's level licensed in the state of Florida. Dude, at the end of the day, like I'm just going to come out and say it. I look at the clients like they're my friends. Like now, do I have to have professional boundaries and, I've got the experience and the knowledge that they don't have? Sure. But at the end of the day, dude, we're a bunch of human beings. I'm just further along down the path. Like, and if I don't have a genuine relationship with you, like, why are you going to trust me?
Yeah, that was actually a really big thing that I really liked about being here too. Is actually a friend of mine who also listened, avid Mind Pump listener. So she heard the episode that you guys were on, and I was texting her the one day, and she was like, "Wait, so you met Ben and Tom?" I was like, "I'm having lunch with Ben right now." yeah, it's Ben.
Yeah,
like, it's okay. But I was kind of the same way when I got down here. To be entirely honest, I thought I was going to get down here and not see either of you after like my initial, like I just got here. So it was nice to see that it wasn't just like a
bait and switch almost.
Yeah, it wasn't just the front of the of being here. That's the whole thing. Like, saw you guys every week.
It comes back to this, dude. I'll speak for myself. Like, you heard my story on Mind Pump, and I tell my story. I'm actually speaking at alumni next Wednesday, I think.
Oh, nice.
But like, so the clients hear my story, dude, and it's just when you've been where we've been and that much pain. Yes, I need a paycheck to like take care of my kids and keep a roof over my head and put food in everybody's belly. But at the end of the day, man, like being able to put my head on my pillow at night, knowing that maybe I'm making a little bit of difference in the world versus the way that I lived as an absolute junkie. Like that's the spiritual bank account, so to speak. Like, I don't know what else I would do, dude. And like, it means so much to me when clients finish the program and it's months down the road. Like talking to you today, for instance, I wanted to bring this up too. Like, it's really cool because, we see you come in. We saw you at Detox. We visited you there, which we covered. Then you come here, and we're hearing about the struggles. The part that I really knew about, you were really, struggling, concerns about finances, all that stuff, you know, the fear that you had with some of the stuff you worked on with Hannah, you know, but where was I going with this? Drawing a blank.
I don't know.
Yeah, me
You
either.
you were rolling too. You were doing
Oh,
good.
man. Oh, yeah, that's where I was going. And then, because now you've been done with the clinical portion of our program for how long now?
About 3 months.
3 months. So he's been removed from coming to groups and meeting with the therapist for the last 3 months. And today, us just small talking where you're at now, like we were talking about, I didn't realize at the time I was picking up on it, but like today we're talking about how much how much you love cars and working on your car. Like, dude, it was kind of funny. Nick and I, we have a FAR, Florida Association of Recovery Residences. They do our accreditation for our housing stuff. And they come through, there's a big bottle of NOS in his room that I didn't know was there. And these people are walking through and they're like, what's this nitrous? I'm like, oh, crap. Yeah, all our clients are huffing nitrous. Yes.
Yeah, no.
Mark is the one supplying it. But it's for his car. Anyway, I digress. But like, just knowing that like you found a hobby, or maybe you've had it, but now you're capitalizing on it. You're telling me how you're going to wrap your car. It now has what, 300? How much horsepower at the wheels?
Oh, not that's 300-ish.
Yeah, but you know he's added what you say 70 since he got here.
Yeah.
So like, you know, but just him talking about everything he's going to be, and I'm like, dude, that's what sobriety is about. Like you're finding the things that you're passionate about again. If you lost it, you're getting back into it. You know, you were talking about today how you just went and bought all your food for starting back on MAPS Anabolic.
Yes, I'm gonna.
Yeah, doing MAPS Anabolic, like, which is for those that don't listen to Mindpump. It's one of their workout plan.
Yeah, it was
in general terms.
Yeah, it was their flagship program. It was the first one that they released.
But that's the cool thing about it, dude, is like getting to see where you're at now. You know, just watching, because this is still just the beginning, dude. Like what you're going to be doing 2 years from now if you stay on this trajectory. It's almost like every time you come in, we're like meeting. It's still you, but it's like a new version. It's wild, dude, to be able to watch that with people.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll say, and let's wrap up after this, is did you ever think that you would be able to live in West Palm Beach, Florida?
Oh, no, not no, not at all. No, I enjoy waking up in West Palm Beach. Actually, we had just mentioned it before we started. What did we talk about? I just had a brain dump moment.
Living in West Palm Beach.
Yeah, living in West Palm Beach.
Hey, did you ever think that you would be able to live here prior to coming down?
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that
you and Ben, something's going on.
It's 3:00, bro.
Yeah, no, it's
we used up the last of our brain cells on the first half of this podcast.
A very taxing morning. But no, I was actually adamant about leaving when I first got down here. There was nothing you could have told me for the first about 60 days could have possibly could have convinced me that I was going to stay here. And I have no intention of going anywhere. I'm very happy here. I like the community here. I like there's stuff to do, which is great, because when you grow up where I grew up, just anywhere where there's stuff to do is awesome. But I'm going to be here for quite a while.
Yeah.
Let me say this to that. You're the third person this week that's here since Monday, today's Friday, that has said those exact words. Because people don't realize, again, going back to what you said, you didn't realize the value.
Mm.
They've come down here and they're experiencing it. And then they're like, at first you're like, I'm going back home after this. But then they see what this is and they're like, I'm up and relocating here.
Yeah.
Does that not say, you're the third person this week? How many clients we got right now? 22?
Yeah.
Out of 22 clients, 3 people this week have been like, this is my new home. I found my new life here. If that's doesn't say something, dude.
Well, that's what I tell people all the time. People work their whole entire lives to try and, save up enough money to be able to at least be snowbirds,
Yeah.
And what did we do? We drank and drugged our way here.
I failed up.
Yeah,
Pretty
you
major
failed
way.
upwards.
So if you're listening and you're not an alcoholic or an addict,
start drinking
start
more.
drinking today.
No, just kidding.
Give us a call in a year and you can move here.
Yeah. Well, Mark, it's been an awesome opportunity to see your growth and your transformation, and looking forward to just seeing you continue to do your thing, man. And kudos to Mindpump for really allowing this to come to fruition and being able to have an impact for you. And yeah, I know that and I asked them too, I said, did you guys 10 years ago when you started this podcast ever think that you would have an impact on people's lives and in the ways of helping get people sober? And Sal's like, no, of course not. Why would you? Why would you think that, And here they are, and so they definitely deserve a shout out as well. So make sure you go and listen to Mind Pump, all of you people. And yeah, Ben, any final thoughts?
No, I really enjoyed this, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah.
It was fun, right?
It was probably about 20-minute mark. The nerves settled down a little bit. I'm doing all right.
Yeah. It's a conversation, man.
Yeah.
It's cool.
We've only done 530 of these at this point. So yeah. But all right, Mark, thanks, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, that is it for this episode of Real Recovery Talk. Thank you for tuning in. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you could always reach us. info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, that's info@realrecoverytalk.com. And ultimately, we want to help you turn your mess into your message. That is it. We will see y'all later.